Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Really excited to have my buddy Stratton Brown here today. Young guy. We just found out how much older I actually am than him. We're going to be talking about leadership. He's wise beyond his years. He's built some amazing businesses. You can too if you watch this show. Welcome to Real Estate Investing Secrets. We're all looking for freedom and the opportunity to live better, more fulfilling lives. But most of us were trained our entire lives to work for someone else and chase their dreams. How can we use real estate investing as a vehicle to achieve financial freedom? My life is dedicated to answering your real estate investing questions and helping you build an investing business that allows you to change your life and the world around you, and to enable you to turn your dreams of financial freedom into a reality. My name is Mike Hambright from Flipnerd.com, and your questions get answered here on the Real Estate Investing Secrets Show. Hey, Stratton, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Thank you so much for having me on. It means a lot.
Yeah. I'm not going to mention the age thing anymore because I'm already feeling like an old dude anyway. So anyway, you're wise beyond your years. Excited to have you here. And specifically, a lot of people maybe don't know this, but before every show, we spend some time hanging out and talking a little bit. And you specifically wanted to talk about leadership, which it shows your wisdom for a young guy that let's talk about leadership instead of something that might be sexier sometimes.
Yeah.
Not that that's not sexy. If you do it right, you can get the sexy, right? But anyway, I'm glad we're going to talk about today. It's great. The stuff you built some amazing stuff, and I think a lot of us as real estate investors have a difficult time moving from solopreneur or husband and wife team or small team into a real business. And I think the main reason is the very things we're going to talk about today. The ability to lead and inspire people for sure is a huge skill. And it's probably a skill that a lot of people are losing. I think it's been easy to kind of lose that over the past few years where everybody's working from home and losing jobs and just a lot of chaos in the market. It's been particularly hard to be a leader or to even learn those skills in the past couple of years. So excited to talk about it today.
Oh yeah. So I know it's not sexy, but it's the number one skill that'll help you get to $1 billion. And the reason I say that is you can't scale without leadership.
Right.
Like what Google did is they brought in all of the brightest minds. They led them very well and like, hey, come work for us. And then if I can get all the smartest people to work for me, they're going to make a lot of money. I'm going to make a lot of money. Right. So like I see it as the number one skill, like in like the 3 pillars as far as sales, marketing, and leadership. That's what you need to actually truly scale a company. And then obviously ops and everything else. But those leadership to me is number one.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, hey, before we dive into that topic a little bit more, for folks that maybe aren't familiar with you yet, tell us a little bit about your background. How'd you even get into real estate investing?
So I played football at Fresno State. I was all conference my senior year, like 17th in the country in tackles. You couldn't, can I cuss on here? Moderately?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. You never know. So you couldn't tell me shit, right? I was partying my ass off and I was having a good time. And then I'm hearing all these statistics about all these people going broke when they go in the NFL. And I was like, all right, Strat, so we'd better educate ourselves on how to invest our money. And we need to protect ourselves from ourselves. Because if we go to the NFL, I do not see this partying trend changing, right? Like if I'm going to be there, I want to have a good time. I'm still the hardest worker, but I still enjoy myself, right? Think of like Michael Jordan as far as that goes. And so I'm reading all these books. I go to Seattle. I try out. Absolutely nothing comes from it. I'm legitimately more broke than when I got there. Nothing really came from it. But then I was going to all these meetups afterwards. And I'm going to all these meetups and I met my first mentor, Alan Folio. He just got back on Instagram. I think it was the Show Up Investor. The man changed my life. And I went to one of these meetups and I was just like talking to him about stuff. And I was thinking about starting a home inspection business. And so I just like, yeah, like, do you need any help with like your home inspections? He was like, well, he was like, three years ago, I was making 20 grand a year. Now I make $200,000 a month. And he starts showing me pictures of checks. He's like, and I own 60 rentals. I own a substantially large portfolio in Indiana, and I'm going to buy a jet. I was like, oh, wow. Like, that's cool. That was the first time I'd ever heard anybody utter any of those words.
Right.
Right. And so I was like, okay.
And he's probably never hired a single home inspector one time.
Ever. And so I go home, start my little home inspection business, do a mock inspection on a rental that I'm living in. Say I hate it. And I call him up. I'm like, bro, what do you do? And I ended up working for him. And from there, I ended up running a lot of his day-to-day, handling a lot of his marketing acquisitions. And then eventually I broke off on my own. And so that's how I got started into the real estate space.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. It's kind of funny how, we've done over 1,500 podcasts on the Flipnerd network here. And everybody has a different story, There's no like common story. It's very rare. I can't even name the people, but a couple times people got into real estate because their parents or their father was a real estate investor or something as well. Like that's super rare. And I think it's maybe that'll become more common for like our kids and stuff like that, maybe, right? But I feel like it's been so rare that I hear that. Usually it's corporate America, stories like yours, or you're going on the path of playing professional football, like lots of stuff that's just unusual, and that's what makes us exciting is there's opportunity here for everybody, no matter where you came from, right?
100%.
Yeah. Cool, man. So we're gonna talk about leadership today. And, you and I were talking a little bit ahead of time about the difference between leadership. I mean, there's people that are charismatic, right? There's people that can stand in front of a room and talk to people, maybe talk from stage or whatever. That doesn't necessarily make them the best leader of people. Like they might inspire people, but honestly, if I'm being open here, I was probably talking about myself a little bit more, like not saying that I'm charismatic or anything, but I'm more comfortable standing on stage, talking to a room full of people that hopefully I inspire than I am managing a bunch of people, because it's just not my forte. But I value the importance of being able to lead people in an organization. It's the only way. I mean, it's not a mistake that for me, the biggest companies that I run now, I'm not the operations person, so I'm not managing most of them. I had to partner with somebody that could handle those operations and managing most of the people, because that's not my skill set. My house flipping business, although we did very well, made lots of money flipping houses and all that stuff, I really didn't manage many people. It was just teams under 5 people for the most part, right? And a bunch of contractors and stuff like that. But I really value that skill, and I wish I had learned it at your age, my friend. Back to the age thing. But let's talk about some of the components of leadership. I know you wanted to talk a little bit about the ability to delegate, which actually is kind of interesting. The way I just said, I kind of just positioned leadership as the ability to manage people. The first one is delegate that to somebody else, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, and you want to delegate for a couple of different reasons. Like when I just think about people psychologically, I want them to feel like they're growing in our company, number one. And then I want to give them faith that they can solve problems on their own. And I'm going to give them all the tools that they need to. But then when we're delegating, it's really easy to, I don't want to like cut people off at the knees, for lack of better words, to like, hey, yeah, just go do this. And then you rip it right back from like, oh, you messed it up. You suck. Right. To where that's not real leadership. And then again, it's not leadership if we're just going to give it to them, never verify it, never check it. And then your business just collapses because like, oh, I'm a delegator. I'm good at delegating. All you do is just hand shit off, and then nothing really gets done, and nobody knows what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about from a delegation standpoint, like what do you delegate? Like we've had, I've had plenty of discussions with people over the years. I've been through lots of consulting and stuff like that about what you give away first for folks that are, because for the average person listening to this, they're not going to say, hey, I found one person and I'm going to give it all to them. Right. It's usually the things that you aren't good at and you don't enjoy doing. So kind of talk a little bit about what do you delegate first? And is the ultimate goal to truly delegate everything, or is it to keep the things that you enjoy doing?
I'd say the ultimate goal is being Warren Buffett, in my honest opinion, to where I invest in companies instead of me having to do all the jobs. Warren Buffett made 60 million. The CEO of Coke made 6 million. And that was just off of Coke stock. Right. Sorry. What was that question again? It's just like, what do you delegate first? Admin
and then,
stuff.
Should everybody have that same goal as you? I mean, everybody has different goals, right? So you can't say what somebody's goal should be, but is it I think that's a personal thing, right? Do you delegate everything ultimately, or do you keep your hand in the pie somehow? But let's talk about what to do first. Like, what do you delegate first for folks that are listening to this and they know they're too busy? They really should get some help with something. Like, where do they go first?
I'd say administrative stuff and stuff that doesn't make your company money is a big thing. And then anything that feels heavy. Like, so I love Trevor Mock, dude. Like his, what is it? He has like some energy audit. I
Yeah.
encourage you to go to Trevor's Lead Magnet and take that freaking energy audit, because it's going to tell you a lot of the things that you're not good at, things you don't like doing, things that are heavy, because you're just going to push it off and it's not going to get done anyways.
Yeah.
Let's delegate those things. And then administrative stuff, especially at the beginning. The only thing that really matters is revenue and driving, just closing deals. Like for wholesaling, real estate is a sales organization. That is what matters the most. And that's what we need to be completely focused on. So for real estate investors, I tell you, like, for sure, let's delegate all the administrative stuff. You can, at the beginning, as soon as you close your first deal, I would hire on virtual assistants to do your cold calling and texting for you. There's not really much to do as far as direct mail. You can hire someone to get them sent out, but you want to get that done immediately just to multiply your time. Because with a lot of cold calling and texting, we're just buying back hours to get more feelers out there.
Yep.
Right. And people don't quite see it that way. But as we start doing that, then we can get more lead flow, multiply ourselves even more. You're going to train those people up. Again, we're not just going to delegate it and say, hey, go make cold calls. Because I did that when I first got started on my own. I was like, where the hell are my leads? You guys have been calling for 3 weeks and I never listened to a single one of their phone calls. Right. But then you just, sometimes you don't know. Like, I looked at their resume and said virtual assistant who's experienced in cold calling. I was like, oh, this is going to work great.
That is a problem with a lot of people that delegate, is they assume, I think we talked a little bit, you and I talked a little bit here recently about integrators and visionaries and people that are kind of operations minded. Like, it's easy for us to throw something over the fence to somebody and think that they're going to figure it out. And I have, some almost real-time examples of people that work for me that it's like, I didn't realize it. It took a little too long to realize it. It's like, if I tell them exactly what to do and we create a process for that and we go through it once, they'll do it forever. But when I just said, hey, I need you to create a process and kind of make sure all these things are happening, they're not the right person to do that. And I think for a lot of us as visionaries, more visionary type people, which I know you are too, it's easy to just throw something over the fence and think they'll figure it out. But even if they can, there's a difference between people that can create a process and people that can follow a process, is what I'm saying, right? And so there's a lot more people that can follow laid out process than to go create a process for that, because a lot of it lives up here in our minds, right?
Exactly. And so we were talking about this earlier, and it's the best thing I've ever done when we're talking to people, hiring on new people. Your business is a startup and you need to prep the people who you're hiring on accordingly. And if you tell them, hey, we're going to need you to create new things for us, we're going to have certain systems, and I expect you to handle other things that are accordingly. You're going to get a different type of energy than if you're working at a regular corporate job where everything's built out. One of the great things you get by working with us is you get to help build the company along with us. And then that gives them a lot more buy-in in your company as well. Like when it's part of their baby, that's amazing. And that's how I somewhat avoid that, of like, hey, you are going to be doing this, and we're letting them know in the interview when we're talking to them, what's this process looking like? Have you built this out yet? Instead of just taking that person and throwing them into the fire and like, hey, what's going on here? Because people generally know if they want to and they can accomplish those things.
Right. And you need to hire for that too, right? If you, not to take anything away from Jimmy John's or Subway sandwich maker, but you don't have to build processes if you're that person. You just have to be able to have somebody tell you, I want lettuce on there, and actually be able to do it, which isn't that hard. That's why those folks are making minimum wage, right? So not taking anything away from anybody, but when you're interviewing somebody, if you interview them right and we use predictive index to do a personality profile on folks. And we also do the cognitive test, which helps determine their ability to solve problems on their own, because as a business owner, I don't need anybody to bring me more problems. I need somebody to help me solve them. So if you hire people that aren't good at solving problems or building processes, and all they can do is follow it, then don't expect them to figure out how to build a process or to solve problems outside of the box, because they didn't have that skill set and you knew it when you hired them, if you looked at them through the proper lens.
And so, I mean, sometimes you either have to move them or you have to let them go, and it's nothing personal. But like, it's the best for both of you. Like, they're doing something that they don't enjoy in the first place, and then they're somewhat dragging down the overall vibe of everything else, because they feel frustrated. It's not clicking for them. It's not in their unique ability. I love Unique Ability 2.0, the book. That'll help you out a lot.
So let's talk about, I know one of the things that you try to do is make sure that people that are inside your business have a lot of opportunity to make money, right? And there's some people that own companies that say, well, this is what this person should make, and we can talk about a raise in a year. I know you do things a little bit differently, so kind of tell us what you do, and let's talk about that a bit.
And it goes in two ways. Like last year, I think we paid out like $77,000 in one of our companies alone, and just bonuses, just the different people. This isn't even like including their base salaries and everything else, of just random bonuses and different incentives. And then it's communicating the vision with your people, because like you were talking about, Mike, you're like, dude, I don't need any more money. Like, do I love money? Yes. But do I need any more money? No. And so like, what opportunities can we create, and what other like revenue can we build with this company that we have, our amazing gift to make money out of thin air as an entrepreneur? What else can we do to create these things? So now this person can absolutely change their life and their family's lives moving forward. And that's when it comes to like visionary leadership, to where you really got to step in, show them the vision of, hey, this is where we're going. This is how it's going to change your life. This is how you're going to make more money. This is how you're going to have more opportunity. That's the biggest thing. That's why I'm harping on like sales and top line revenue growth so much, just so people will leave if they're not growing.
Right.
Like you'll lose the best people because they were going to go somewhere like you talked about in our interview. Like, bro, I was at this awesome startup. We had awesome growth year over year. It was exciting. It was fun. I felt like I was growing. I felt like I was doing a lot. So we got to show people that's actually happening and give them the opportunity in your company.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about like from a bonus standpoint and putting financial incentives in place? I've seen people really screw that up. I probably screwed it up a few times myself. How to align that to the company's goals? Like it's easy in a wholesale business, probably easier in a wholesale business if you align people's compensation with when the company wins, whenever we do a deal, if you help get the deal, if you help generate the deal, like there's ways to tie it to that, but not every business is quite that easy. So maybe talk a little bit about how to align those financial incentives to if the company wins or loses, and making sure you're not misaligned.
So for one, like our COO gets a couple of percentage points of just profit share. I'm like, hey, if we are hitting these goals, you get paid. And full disclaimer, I'm probably messing it up the same way you'd have. Right. And if in anything, like, did we hit this metric? It's really managing by the KPIs, and are we exceeding the KPIs? And then you can go into different types of, you don't have to pay out bonuses. You can give them like free Wi-Fi, whatever it is, but are you hitting your KPIs and are you exceeding them? Are we humming better? Do we have less customer service issues? Are we generating the amount of leads we want to get that were actually good leads? But whatever things that's tied to, KPIs are the easiest way to set it, because again, if it's just like, hey, good shit, here's a bonus. Like there's no correlation that they can lean into, that they know they need to keep doing that action over and over again to get what they want. Yeah. I've found KPIs being the easiest way to like just attach it to.
Yeah. And you're right. We've had this issue recently in one of my businesses, is having KPIs at too high of a level where people couldn't really impact that. Like there's some people in the company, they're just like, I don't have a role in that. Like, it sounds like if the company wins, I win too, but what do I go do differently? And I think it's really important to have the KPIs around things that each person in your company that's bonus, like what they can control, right? Otherwise, if they feel like they have no role in it, then the bonus isn't having its intended impact, which is basically to change behaviors, right?
And I would say the hardest thing to do when it comes to like administrative roles, those are really hard. Right. But then they get good bonuses just during Christmas time or on their birthday, right? Like to where we still take care of our people in that way.
Yeah.
Because there isn't a whole lot that they can pull a lever on to make sure the company does well. Like you do your job, the company does well. If you're not doing your job well, honestly, well, you're probably gone because the company's not doing well.
Yeah.
In those administrative roles.
And not everybody's incented by money too.
Exactly.
And for guys like you and me, like sometimes we're like, what? But those other people that care about other things, right? It's important to kind of understand what makes people tick, like what gets them jazzed about being there. And sometimes it's not money. Like for most sales oriented people, it's money mostly. But for a lot of other roles, it's being a part of something. It's, winning in other ways, right? Feeling that impact or whatever. Talk a little bit about the importance of that in your team.
So I love paid time off. Honestly, like giving them paid time off, help paying for benefits, paying for Wi-Fi. Hey, you know what? I know it was a hard week. Here's a couple $100, go splurge. Like we know you've we've had a lot happen. Like we pay for families' funerals. Like we do a lot of different things that that at least they know we care about them. And we use that to where if we're going to take care of them, then they're going to take care of us still.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way I believe it.
Yeah. No, that is, and it's hard to do as a business owner, especially if you're a business owner that, back to the first thing we talked about is delegate. Sometimes we want to push stuff down, and then sometimes we lose sight of who's even working for us sometimes, and certainly, you might not know you might know who they are, but you might not know what makes them tick, or that something just happened in their family. And so that's one of the challenges of the growing organization, is to still have your finger on the pulse of who's there. Right. But that ultimately comes down to probably part of your culture, to get other leaders in the organization to kind of boil those things up because they recognize them. Right.
Yeah. I probably lead a team of 6 per company.
Yeah.
I don't want to really lead anymore. I'm a pretty strong personality to where I'm straightforward, and they get the way I talk to where other people might cry. Like when we're having like a business to business conversation of like, what the fuck is going on here? And they're like, well, this happened. And then they know exactly how to respond directly for me to understand, like, okay, good. And they know I'm just upset with whatever's going on, but not with them.
Right. Yeah.
That one's really hard. Making them tick, I found I want to build really, really deep relationships. We do a lot of different one-on-ones. If our company wasn't 100% virtual, we'd be doing like a lot more trips, right? I think that's the biggest thing, that especially not all the investors have gone virtual, is how do we get to know to make them tick? I just call my people sporadically. I just started doing it more because it used to be like whenever I'd call them, like some shit hit the fan and I was like, what is going on here? Right. So like now I just try and call them. Yeah, they're afraid to answer. It gives them anxiety. Like, oh my God, why is he calling me? So now I try and call people sporadically, like, hey, what's going on? How's your dad doing? How are your kids doing? And just finding out whatever it is, right? To where I want to get to know them personally. And then we encourage everyone in our company, if they are leading a team, like just talk to your people. The more that they know we care, the more they'll care we'll know. And that's like a football quote, right? But the more we love them, the harder we can be on them. Like I can use all of these different things, but you have to get to know them more to find out like what makes them tick. That is the easiest way. And just random meetings, again, sending them random gifts. We're really big with gifts. What else? I just think talking to people is the easiest way. And I'm good at people, so I don't have like a certain tactic of like, yeah, this is exactly how you found out what makes people tick. I made everyone in our company like, bro, send me your goals. What are you trying to accomplish? Like, what do you want? To where we had a reel on Facebook go viral because one of our girls down in Mexico, one of our department heads, was like, well, really the only thing I really want, and just so I'd say, ask them what they want. Like, what do you want in your life? She's like, the only thing I want is to send my son to a really good school. I was like, okay, how much does that cost? She was like, $500 a month. I was like, sweet, you get a $500 a month bonus. Start today. Like, it's never going away. You use that for your kid's school. But a lot of times it's just asking them what exactly they're looking for, what they're trying to achieve, and what they want. And obviously she's an amazing aspect of our company. Not everybody gets treated that way, but like I just asked her, like, what do you want? Generally, we talk to other people. What do you want? What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
What are your goals? One of the craziest thing that's ever happened to me, a dude in our company in the Philippines bought a Raptor. No lie. I've seen pictures. He bought a Raptor. Like, but that was what he wanted. I don't know how he did it, but he got a Raptor. Right. Wow. Helping those people. Like we had to like send over letters saying, yes, we are employing him and everything else. But finding out whatever it is, like some people like video games, whatever those things are.
That's cool. And I think in the process, people learn more about your style too, right? Like if you're not around, if you're not that present and they don't know that you're a little intense on your management style, maybe, right? Or that you're like a little more in your face, then they're caught off guard by that. But if they get to know who you are, they're like, just tolerate it. Like, yeah, he's all bark and no bite, maybe like, at least not worry about it,
right? Like they're not worried about it and they just know, like, okay, no, this is our conversation. But they know, again, the biggest thing I always want all of our people to know is that I love them. Like, I love you. I want the best possible for your family. Like, that's why we're doing this. We want the best possible for all of our clients. We want the best possible for all of our families. Like, and we take the fact that you feed your family by working for us very seriously. And we want to help make sure you can create the best life possible.
Yeah. It's tough, man. Cause I think these days there's, I was on your show recently. We were talking about parenting and all these things. And it's kind of a weird time to be a parent it's a weird time to be anything right now. Like people I think everybody's connected on social media, but nobody's really connected. And, it looks like we have
Yeah.
thousands of friends, but really we go home, we feel like we don't have any friends. And
Yep.
it's just this weird thing. Right. And I think a lot of people have turned their work life into their life, like from a friend standpoint, just that culture that you put out
Yeah.
there of like, we're your second family, can carry a lot of weight for a lot of people, because a lot of people don't have a very good first family, or first family life, whatever. So that culture is really important. Maybe share a little bit about, obviously you just talked about, about caring about people, but what are some important parts of your culture that folks that are listening can learn from?
So I think core values are the only way that you could truly scale a company especially like when you get to companies with lots of employees, because your leadership it'll get diluted over time.
Yeah.
Right. And if you don't have a certain set of values that everybody operates on, it's really easy for things just to go astray.
Yeah.
And so the easiest way I found to set culture is to set core values. So ours are strive for excellence, care 360, family, fun, and that's what we operate on, and then integrity. But with that, it helps us build a culture of doing all of those things over and over again. And then consistently, the culture piece of everybody like loving where they work, it is the random phone calls I'm telling you are massive, or the little just gestures of, hey, I know it's been a hard week. Hey, I know this is going on. Here's some money. Hey, go do this, go do that. Paying for funerals like that at least lets them know that you love them and care for them. Because that's all majority of people really want.
Yeah.
People leave managers. They don't really leave pay. Ever.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. How do you, I mean, it's easy for people to have core values and, get it on a printout, put it on the wall and have it kind of out there. How do you, especially with a virtual team, how do you, and this is one of the things that we've struggled with. We have one of our businesses, we have, almost 100 employees now, completely virtual. And so there's some things that we've started to do way more of to kind of help build that culture and help spread our core values. But talk a little bit about how you do that, especially in a virtual company. How do you continue to remind people and have them really absorb that as not just like some guy that I work for just said this, but I was on TikTok looking at something else when he said it.
As stupid as this sounds, and I know, because I used to think core values were the dumbest thing ever, right? Because I grew up in sports and everybody's like, these are our core values. It's like, yeah, cool, whatever, dude, we suck. Right? Like to where like they're saying all these things, but then highlighting people when they show those things and like giving them spotlight, giving them praise is the easiest way I'd tell you to do things. Like, so we have like a magician of the month that is just based on everyone else in the company voting. Like, were you awesome or not? Like, did you abide by everyone in our company and all those core values? And then they get paid extra with that too. Yeah. And I don't care if they're acting that way because they get a bonus. They're still acting that way. So I got the result that we needed.
Yeah.
So that I love that, using that.
That's cool. There's somebody that I know. Now this is hard to do virtually, but they have this big like WWF belt that if they put out if they've got their culture, their core values. It's actually Ryan Stewman.
Okay.
What Ryan Stewman is, but in their company they have like their core values belt basically.
Yep.
And if somebody exudes that, then they win for the week. And then that person has to identify somebody in the office that did a great job of living up to the company's core values the next week. And then they have to pass it off. That's kind of a cool, that's a cool thing. That's harder to do virtually. You got to find a virtual WWF belt, just doesn't have the same.
Right. What would we do? Like make them sign in on Zoom and wear like a special magician hat or whatever. Like, I don't know, something that's cool. But I just think the highlight of them and then having other people internally vote on it is the biggest thing.
That's the cool part, because it forces other people to watch out for living up to that level, and it forces you to say, man, I want to win that sometime soon, right? I'm going to do the things I need to do. So just the recognition, right? A lot of people just don't feel recognized these days. I feel like a lot of people are just in a hole right now,
It's recognition is big, and you got to do it both, right? So you always say recognize in public, reprimand in private. And as stupid as this sounds as a rule, you don't ever want to cuss anybody out in a meeting, like ever. Like have that, and I'm not saying cuss them out, but like have that like intentional conversation behind closed doors. Because again, you have egos, and again, I come from sports. to where nobody was safe, right? Like you mess up and their coach is just on your ass, like ripping you in front of the team.
Right.
But then the way you make them feel good is you reprimand them in private, but then you praise them in private and you praise them in public, right? So you say, hey, great job. You killed it right here. Amazing job. And then you in front of the team, hey, great job right here. We know you loved it, because you never know what people want more, right? Do they want the recognition of overall everybody else, or they want the recognition from the leader? Sometimes do both. You can never tell people good job enough. You can never tell people you love them enough. You can never tell people you care about them enough. Because think about all the things we have to say over and over and over again in order for it to stick, right? Because majority of the time, like they're just drowning it out, thinking about the TikTok, whatever else. Like we got to hammer these. This is like what goes in like vision of your company. You're just saying the same shit over and over again, like Gary Vee's Instagram account.
Cool, man. So let's talk a little bit about Call Magician. So I know you run a service for folks that want kind of done for you cold calling. Tell us a little bit more. I won't do as good of a job talking about it as you will, my friend. So tell us a little bit more about it, how you help real estate investors.
So, and the reason I started this thing is because I met a guy and he screwed me over for like $6,000. Like didn't give us any KPIs. And I just trusted him, right? And so what we set out to create was the #1 cold calling and like virtual assistant company in the real estate space. And so all of our sales coaches internally are trained by Steve Trang. I don't know anybody else who pays Steve-O a lot of money just to coach our coaches so our people are amazing on the phone. That's #1. And then daily reports, we can help them with skip tracing. We help them in absolutely every aspect. And then we are in 7 different countries at this point. And so we source people who are the best around the world. Like that is our goal. Like we want them to deliver quality leads. We want them to be the best. And then if anybody ever goes 3 days without a lead, we credit them a day. Like that's how serious we take it. Like, no, we want you to get quality leads. And if you don't get a lead in 3 days, like, well, hey, next day is free. We don't care. Like we prepare for it. That's how committed we are to delivering a result to help you grow your company.
That's awesome. So you said cold calling, and do you as a service, do you provide administrative VAs as well, or
administrative? We provide administrative VAs to help you with texting, VAs to help you with buyers, and cold calling. We can help the whole shop pretty much. We started off with cold calling, and then now we're opening up the other ones to where you might as well help you guys out with everything in your business, because I've seen people not striving for excellence in the space. Let's just say that.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah. We have one of our companies, I think, we have 75 virtual assistants. I've been using virtual assistants for a long time. My business partner, Jason Lewis, he's like the king of VAs, at least in his business, outsourcing stuff. And so we believe in, and it's a way, like I think a lot of us want to build big businesses, but we don't necessarily want to have big organizations, right? And not necessarily here. And it's hard to hire people really around the world right now. I mean, I know even virtual staff is getting quite a bit harder, but certainly in America right now, it's hard to find good people. And it's even to find not great people. Sometimes you still have to pay more than what they're probably worth, but that's what the market commands right now. And so for those that aspire to have, not necessarily have a huge office with a ton of people in it, it's great. And it's even for high level talent. Like sometimes if you're in, like I'm in Dallas, Texas, like it might be really hard for me to hire a C-level person here. But they're easier to find in Omaha, Nebraska, and then their physical job opportunities are just limited there. But if you're willing to hire them and allow them to work virtually, you can find talent anywhere, right? If you tear down the walls of geography, it doesn't matter where they're at.
I mean, you can find amazing virtual talent better than in the United States. I'll use 2 examples. Sure. First off, the girl who runs our company, who's our COO, managed over 1,000 people at a lower before COVID. It's going to take me a lot of cash to find that over here. Yeah. For like the bang for the buck. And she is absolutely amazing. You guys will probably, if you work with us, her name's Glenna, I'm sure you'll talk to her at a point in time. And then another one of our sales coaches who's in Egypt has a master's degree in bioengineering. Again, I can't hire people that talented. And for a lot of what we're doing, you don't need to have, it could all be virtual. Majority of people I know in the space are moving to virtual. If they're not 100% virtual, the only thing that isn't is sales. Yeah. Like in all reality, like everything else can be done offshore.
Yeah. And for real estate investors, the truth is a massive part of our business, especially if you've been around for a while. A lot of it's administrative, right? There's so many administrative tasks, or calls that are, or tasks that are call based, or like I said, SMS. Those could be done from anywhere. You don't have to, it's not like those folks have to be anywhere in particular, right?
Exactly.
If folks want to learn more about your VA service, Call Magicians, where do they go?
Go to callmagicians.com. Say you found out about us from Flipnerd. And that's the place to go. You can set up a call.
Cool, man.
That'll be the easiest place to go.
Awesome. Good stuff. Anything else that we didn't touch on today in terms of leadership or anything else that we missed? I mean, we could probably have another whole nother show now, but anything that we kind of talked about that we didn't cover or that we should have covered but didn't?
What did I say? Love your people more. Like truly love and care about your people more as far as your customers and your employees. And I promise you everything will go better.
That's awesome. It's good stuff, man. Appreciate you being here.
Oh yeah. Thanks for having me on. Follow me on Instagram at Strat Daddy.
Strat Daddy.
Strat Daddy.
Let me write that down. Cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you being here, sharing some great insights on leadership today. And folks, if you're looking for virtual assistants, I mean, they can change your life because a lot of us, you know, you can obviously save money on the cost of the task. A lot of us as real estate investors are frugal and we're trying to find ways to save money for sure. But most importantly, you can really magnify your effort by scaling up and having some folks do a bunch of tasks that, quite frankly, any of you listening to this call probably don't want to do. So you should focus on what you're good at and outsource the rest for sure. So check out Call Magicians for sure. Let them know Flipnerd sent you. Stratton, thanks again, my friend. Great to see you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks so much for having me on, Mike.
Yep. And everybody, thanks for following along here. We're about 8.5 years into the Flipnerd podcast here. For those of you that are listening to it, you know, we've been a little loose on putting out consistent shows. That is about to change. We've got some amazing things going on. So stay tuned with what we're about to do at Flipnerd. Of course, we also have the Investor Fuel show where I interview members of my mastermind. That one is actually pretty active. So we've got a lot of different shows that are running right now and many more that are coming. Appreciate you for following along. See you on the next show. Thanks for listening to today's show. There are 3 ways I can help you start or grow your real estate investing business. If you're a new investor and just getting started, the Flipnerd Investor Coaching Program is the most effective program in America. I've been coaching and mentoring new real estate investors for 10 years, and my students have literally purchased thousands and thousands of properties. Many of them started with little to no experience at all. Our program is a paint-by-numbers program where we tell you exactly what to do week by week to make sure that you don't get distracted on your way to results. We show you how to build a real business, not just create another job for yourself. New memberships are limited. You can learn more and apply or schedule a call with me and my team at flipnerd.com/coaching. If you're an experienced investor doing a minimum of 10 deals a year, up to 500 deals a year or more, or have a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio already, you should check out our powerful Investor Fuel Real Estate Investor Mastermind. Over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors are members, and it's not uncommon for our members to 2 to 5x their business just from getting around other members at Investor Fuel. At Investor Fuel, each of us are business advisors to one another's businesses, but we don't stop at business. We focus heavily on becoming better people and living fuller lives. If you're looking for fuel for your business or fuel for your life, please check out investorfuel.com. Applications and interviews are required as most investors are not a fit for our community. Please learn more at investorfuel.com. If you're not ready for coaching or masterminds but eager to start learning more about investing, please join our private Facebook group by visiting flipnerd.com/Facebook. New members get access to free training from us right here at flipnerd.com, and it's a community to safely ask your questions, a great place to get started. Simply go to flipnerd.com/Facebook to request your access today.